All right there. I'm going to go ahead and make a quick video here um, showing how I produced a kind of a bombard balloon. These are balloons from World War II that were used in England in order to snare aircraft that were trying to fly near sensitive areas. Anyway, we're going to be using something like this as our object that we're going to be blowing up in our Unity game. So first thing, you need a new Blender scene and delete everything. Goodbye light, goodbye camera, goodbye default cube. I'm going to add a mesh, a UV sphere, and immediately open up the last operation and set the number of segments to 24, the number of sides to 12, and rotate it 90 degrees in Y. The reason I did this is so that I get the x-axis going directly through the point located at the top and the bottom of the sphere. Now, I want the rotation orientations to get reset. You look over here, you can see that the rotation in Y is 90 degrees, down here 90. I'm going to click Object, Apply, Rotation. And now what Blender has done, it's reset the rotation. It's treating the position of the object at the moment as if this is rotations in X, Y, and Z of 0 degrees. Now, the next thing I want to talk about is your number pad. The number pad is going to be crucial in navigating in this exercise. So you need to make sure number lock is on. You find your number lock key, you should enable it. A little light should come on your number pad. And pressing the 1 key on your number pad will put you in a front orthographic view. Pressing the 3 key will put you in a right orthographic. The 7 key will put you in a top orthographic. And the 5 key will put you back in perspective, although from any of the front orthographic view, all you got to do is just middle mouse and move your mouse. Press your middle mouse wheel down and move your mouse, and you'll go right back to a perspective view. You're going to see me doing that a whole lot, going from front orthographic to perspective to look at things, and then back to front orthographic. And later, when I'm tearing the model apart, I'll also be using top orthographic. I'll be using right orthographic. And if you mouse over this X symbol right here, I appreciate the student who pointed this out. To flip that, it's Control 3, and that flips you to left orthographic. So let me get back to 1 right here. When I turn on X-ray, the next thing that I did was I rotated the entire sphere. Right now, the seams, these are the segments, pardon me, these are the segments of the sphere here. Right now, they line up perfectly with the x-axis. I'd like them to split the difference. So to accomplish that task, I noted the fact that there are 24 segments going around the sphere, and an entire circle is 360 degrees. If you divide 360 degrees by 24, you get 15 degrees. There's 15 degrees of space between each of these segments that are cutting across the face of the sphere. If I want to get right to the middle, then I need to go 7.5 degrees, because 7.5 degrees is exactly 1/2 of 15 degrees. And the rotation is going to be in the x-axis. So I'm going to rotate 7.5 degrees in the x-axis, and you'll see now that, this segment and that segment are now split by the red x-axis. I'm going to be spending a fair amount of time in X-ray mode here, but now that we've got our file set, it's ready. We got it oriented. Last thing, we want to apply that 7.5 degree rotation. We want to apply that. So we're going to click Object, Apply, Rotation. That's going to, again, reset the rotation values, treating that this is 0 degrees for all 3 rotations. Just resetting that. So now we're going to start to do our box modeling. I'm going to middle mouse wheel out a little bit here. And before we start, because what we're going to do next is going to be destructive to this object, let's do our first save. So File, Save As, and where I want you to save this is, I've got folders for every single class. I'm going to have to make a new folder called Demo, which is what I usually do when I'm making these demo videos. And I'm getting carried away with making new folders here. Delete that one. So open up that demo folder. And the name I would like you to give this file is, my initials, your initials, okay, your initials, underbar, target balloon, underbar, 001. This is going to be the first save of our file. I'm going to click Save As. Now our file is saved. Time to start destroying this thing. So we're going to switch into object mode. Pardon me, we're going to switch from object mode to edit mode. There's a hotkey for that. If you press your tab key will toggle you between object mode and edit mode. You see things change drastically. We're in edit mode. Also, the numbers across the top of your keyboard, the number 1 that's above the tab and Q key, that will enable vertex selection mode. The number 2 on the top of your keyboard, that will enable select mode, edge selection mode. And the number 3 at the top of your keyboard, above the W and E keys, the number 3 will get you face selection mode. I'm going to be doing almost all. It's going to be one time where I'm going to use vertex select mode, but the rest of the time I will 100%, 99.9% be using face select mode. All right, now I'm going to deselect so I have no faces selected. First time you go into edit mode on an object, it has everything selected. All the vertices, all the edges, all the polygons. So I want to grab the polygons on this half. Here's the z-axis going through here. I want to get all the polygons on that other side over there. So we do need to still have X-ray turned on. If we don't have X-ray turned on and we try to select these polygons, we might be thinking, hey, we got everything. But if we tilt around by going into perspective, we're going to go, oh, wait, we missed a whole bunch of stuff. So press my 1 key to get back into front orthographic. I will deselect and click on X-ray mode. That's X-ray mode up here. Toggle X-ray. Then I will draw my selection box now. This time, if I go into perspective view, I can see, yes, I did get everything. I can even turn X-ray mode off and still see that, yeah, I've got all the stuff I want to get over here. Back in that front orthographic view by pressing the 1 on my number pad. I get my move tool. Move this thing over, set it to about 3.5. And also, because can you see that this line, this edge is sloping up? And for that matter, this edge is sloping down. To correct that and make this look more even, enable your scale tool and just scale it down a little bit. The scaling that I've been using has been landing somewhere right in the 0.96 region. So that works, just makes it look more uniform. Now, we're going to start to build the fins, the tail of this object. So for that, in 4th block, I discovered in 4th block that if I go into a right orthographic view, and that's the 3 key on your number pad, a right orthographic view, that puts me right where I want to be on this object. So I'm going to press my 3 key. Oh, mouse has to be over the screen for that. Press my 3 key. I'm in a right orthographic view. I want to select a group of polygons on the back side that line up with the z-axis and line up with the y-axis. So, and then we're going to be pulling these polygons out. You'll see what I mean. So I'm going to select that polygon. Oops, get on your select box tool. Don't be selecting polygons with scale, move, and rotate because bad things can happen. Hold down my shift key and I'm going to start selecting. And finally, all right. Now, notice I haven't selected anything in the center here, okay? It's these 1, 2, 3, 4 polygons in the cardinal directions, north, south, east, and west, you might say. If I slip into perspective mode now, I should be able to see that I've got symmetrically selected polygons here. And in perspective mode, this is where I want to do my next step. I'm going to extrude out these polygons. Now, the extrude tool, if I just click it, and if I just extrude, that's what that looks like. And that's not what I want to get. So let me Control Z, undo. I want to hold my mouse down on my extrude tool, and I want to slide my mouse up to extrude along normals. Extruding along normals will extrude these polygons. It'll extrude the faces in the direction that the faces are facing. So I'll enable that tool, and now the polygons will, when I get the mouse moving in the correct direction, extrude out in the direction that the faces are facing. Get this nice looking, these really do look like tails here. So now that I've got the extrusion done, I'm going to go back to the select box tool. I want to start fine tuning this selection. So let's see here. 3 is right orthographic, control 3, there we go, left orthographic. I would like to select that polygon, hold my shift key, and select that polygon. I only want those 2 polygons selected. Make sure you don't have anything else accidentally selected. Control 3 to get back into that view. Press my period on the number pad to zoom on the 2 selected objects. Enable the scale tool and scaling in Y, and only the Y axis. I'm just scaling in the green axis. Scale them down to thin that out. If you scale it too much, you'll end up slicing through the mesh, and that's a bad thing. So only scale them down to where they get close, but don't overscale. All right, then I'm going to select, back to the select box tool, these 2 polygons. Make sure I don't have anything else accidentally selected. Control 3 to get back in that view. Scale tool. Now I'm only going to scale in the Z axis, scaling that down in the Z axis and getting closer and closer, but don't overscale. If you cut through the mesh, and you'll see that when it happens, when you cut through the mesh, things won't look right. So got those scaled down. Now, from the back side, get on the select tool. I'm going to select these 4 polygons on the end of the fin. Just so we can be clear about this, it's only the 4 polygons there on the end and these 4 polygons on the end, and make sure you don't have anything else accidentally selected, because when you're doing this stuff and you're applying these tools, it will get applied to everything that is selected, and you'll find out the hard way when you accidentally. That's 3. I'm going to get my scale tool. So I pressed 3 on my number pad to get into the right orthographic, got my scale tool and those polygons selected, and I'm going to squeeze them down. There they are. They're squeezed. Again, just like before, don't over squeeze. Select box tool. I'm going to get these polygons. And enable my scale tool, only scaling in the Z axis now. Scale those down. All right, got those scaled down. This thing is beginning to look really good. Now, the last thing I'm going to do before I do the next destructive thing to this is I want to do a loop cut. This is that one time I was mentioning earlier where I'm going to switch from face selection mode to vertex selection mode. So using the number keys above on the top of your keyboard, the number 1 that's right above the Q and tab keys, if I press that, that will toggle me over to vertex selection mode. Vertex selection mode. And then I'm going to enable loop cut down here on the loop cut tool. Cut a mesh. And I'm going to put the loop right in the middle here, click, and then switch to the scale tool and uniformly scale that down just to give it some style. Alrighty. I'm ready to do something destructive to this object now. I'm going to switch back to object mode. Since what we're going to do to this next is going to be destructive, let's go ahead and do another incremental save. So File, Save As. I'm going to hit the little plus symbol, which changes my 001 file into an 002 file, and I'm going to click Save As. It's saved. Now we're going to change the geometry on this drastically. If I go to wireframe mode right now, there's wireframe on this. You can see that currently this object is built with, those edges. I get into edit mode here. We can see I got those edges, those vertices, those polygons that make up this object. Let me tap back to edit mode, And let me get out of wireframe and go back to solid. So we're going to click on the modifier tab here. And to this object, we're going to add a subdivision surface modifier. And Mr. Booth added the wrong modifier. Boy, that sure made some crazy stuff happen. Ooh, I gave it a skin modifier. So let's go ahead and make that go away. Wrong modifier. Be careful. We want subdivision surface. All right, that's looking a lot better. And we're going to set our levels to 2. I believe yesterday the first student to freeze Blender froze it because they cranked that number up. If you crank that number up, I guarantee you're going to freeze the computer up. Don't move it above 3, okay? Someone's going to experiment and find out the hard way when they freeze their computer up and lose their work. That's why we do incremental saves, by the way. So set the levels to 2 in the viewport and the renderer. And then what we're going to do is we're going to apply this. You notice that it's gotten a lot smoother here. And you might even be able to see by looking at the faceting, the faces that you can see here, that there's a lot more faces than there was a few moments ago. And I'm going to go ahead and click the drop down and click apply. I'm going to right click anywhere in the scene and select shade smooth. And so now it's shade smoothed. Now let's go back to wireframe and take a look and see what we've done to this thing. We've really changed the mesh. This mesh has become pretty darn complex. But in order to get that smooth surface, you need a complex mesh in order to get that smoothness. So back in solid mode here. The next things I'm going to do to this, again, are going to be destructive. Since I'm going to do some destructive things to this, let's go ahead and do another incremental save. The plus, and now I got an 003 file. Now, last thing I'm going to do here is to tear this thing apart, tear it into pieces. So back in my orthographic views, back in edit mode, and back on faces. And I'm just going to select a few right here near the front of the object. Got a few of those faces. Press my period key on the number pad, and then move this window so I can really get a look at the front of this balloon. And from an X-ray mode, I want to get X-ray mode. So starting from about right here, because that's going to cross those dots right there, those dots, and then all the way down and all the way out, I want to select all those polygons on the nose. And I'm going to mouse around here, see that I got a nice clean selection. Back in front orthographic. So I'm going to detach these polygons. So I'm going to click mesh, separate. Hotkey, by the way, is the P key. I'm going to separate the selection. This separated all those into its own object, which has been called Sphere 001. So I'm going to tab out of edit mode, and let's see. This thing, which I currently have selected, which is called Sphere, let's name it Balloon, because that's going to be the good starting for all the rest of the names I'm going to give. This is going to be Balloon Front. So I've named this front piece Balloon Front. I've named this piece Balloon. And I'm going to continue to tear it apart. And as I tear it apart, I'm going to name it Balloon, whatever it is I'm currently working on. This next selection is going to be pretty easy. Just so I don't get distracted by it, this balloon front that I have, I'm going to click the little eye over here, and I'm going to hide it in the viewport, temporarily hide it. There we go. It's hidden. Can't see it. All right. Tab, select that object, tab into edit mode. We're on face selection, just like we were before. And I want to get these faces and going all the way over to about, I'm thinking, right there. All the way over to about right there. I may be going too far, but I'm going to take it all the way there. Deal with the consequences. All right. So now that I've got all those, I'm going to mouse around, make sure that things are looking good and clean from the other side, that I got a nice uniform selection. Might even get out of X-ray mode and get out of X-ray mode and back in this front orthographic. Hit my P key for separation. The hotkey is the P key, and separate this selection. tab out of edit mode so I can get off this object and select this new balloon.001, which I'm going to name balloon body. All right. And then I'm going to hide the balloon body. Now I only have this part back here, which is I'm calling balloon. Here's where it's going to get tedious. All right. It's going to get tedious here. I want to remove the fins. I want to remove these tail fins here. So this is going to get, like I said, tedious. Tab into edit mode. I'm in face selection mode. Turn on X-ray. And I'm going to try to select as much as I can of this in X-ray mode. Because this way I know I'm getting not just the front, but I'm also getting the back. But when I get down near the seam, when I get down where this is going to cross into the body of the back of the balloon there, I'll have to try a different strategy here, but I'm getting pretty close here. So now, I've taken advantage of X-ray about all that I can. I'm going to turn off X-ray, and then the hard work begins. So let's see here, one at a time, selecting these. Holding my shift key down in between making selections. Don't want that one. We're going to leave that one. We're not going to take that one. We do want these. Then the last thing I'm going to do here is I am going to zoom out a little bit, and I'm going to take a look at this whole thing. Make sure that I have a nice uniform selection. Didn't miss anything. Looking at it carefully, looking for any missing polygons in my selection. Happy with it. Press the P key, hit selection. Tab out of edit mode so you can go rename this new balloon.001 to balloon fin 1. All right, and then I'm going to hide balloon fin 1 and go back to that front orthographic view, zoom on the whole thing, and bring this next fin in this orthographic view into view. Turn on X-ray mode, tab into edit mode, and start going after these polygons. Now I'm going to get out of X-ray mode because I'm down to the nitty-gritty here. And if you're still in X-ray mode, sometimes you will be selecting more than what you're bargaining for. And I'm going to have to double check that because it may be that I might have got some polygons off in the distance by accident. I'm going to check for that. Doesn't look like I did, though. Good. You have to take care when doing these selections. Make sure you don't get more than you bargained for. My shift key down. In between these orbits and rotations that I'm doing here, I release my shift key. You'll find out the hard way that you can't keep your hand on the shift key while you're doing this. But when you need to add more polygons to your selection, press your shift key. If you happen to accidentally click and go, oh my gosh, I lost my selection, just press Control Z and undo. Undo. You got your selection back. Okay. All is not lost. Press my P key to separate it. Tab out of edit mode so I can select this new fin that I've cut off, change its name to balloon fin 2, and I'm going to hide it. Balloon fin 2 is hidden. All right, now the next orthographic view I'm going to work in is top orthographic. Do you remember what key that is? It's the 7 key on your number pad. Turn on X-ray, tab into editing mode, and I'm going to go after these polygons. hold my shift key down and go get some more. Get some more. Grab these guys. All right, am I down to? There we go. All right, I'm going to get out of X-ray mode now and start going after the rest of the selection. Whoa! Let's zoom on the selection. That way I can orbit better. All right, now zoom out, take a look and see, did I get everything I want to have selected on this thing? All of its polygons. And yes, I do. I have all my selection is good. P key. Tab out of edit mode. Go change its name. Balloon fin 3. Hide it back in that top orthographic view. Zoom on this thing. Tab into edit mode. Turn on X-ray. And go after these polygons. All right. Turn off X-ray mode because I'm down to the getting close to done here. All right, let's see how we're looking. Yep, looks good. Detach it. Oh, got to tab out of edit mode. And this is going to be my balloon fin 4. And I'm still in edit mode. There we go. Let's try that again. What I just called balloon fin 4 is supposed to be called balloon rear. And then here, this balloon 001 is balloon fin 4. All right, everything's got meaningful names. I can unhide it all now too. And select it all. Frame selected here so I can take a look at it. It is cut up into nice little pieces. It looks really good. It's ready for us to export it into Unity and even apply materials to the various parts to give it some style. This is the last save as. I'm going to click save as, hit the old plus symbol, click save as, and you need to make sure you turn in all your files, your 001, 002, 003, and 004 file for this project. Thanks, and we'll see you in class.